tourism from a different perspective. A perspective that will yield greater health benefits for you, the individual, potential tourist, but also a perspective that will contribute positively to the communities that we visit. Before we begin that discussion, I'd like for us to engage in a small exercise. So in preparation for this exercise, I ask you to take a moment to relax, put down anything you might be holding in your hands, sink into your seats, put your feet up if your heart so desires. And when you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. Imagine you're on vacation. This vacation is taking place in a nation of your choice, perhaps located in Latin America, Africa, or Asia. Feel free to take anyone with you, friends, family members, heck, even the family pet. I'd like you to take a moment to truly envision yourself within this space. Truly see yourself. Perhaps you're overlooking a mountaintop. Perhaps you're by the ocean. Perhaps you're in nature. Truly see your presence within that space. Take a moment to register the sentiments that arise for you as you contemplate being on vacation. Elation, happiness, relaxation, whatever it might be, take note of it. Now I'm going to ask you to snap a picture. Now please do not reach for the high-tech cameras on your high-tech cell phones, but rather use your mind's eye to capture this photographic essence of your presence at this destination. If you had a change of heart regarding a friend or family member you took with you, perhaps your mother-in-law or father-in-law, Photoshop them out. They'll never know. When you're ready, go ahead and let your eyes gently open. Welcome back, everyone. I trust you all went on a very fun mini vacation. If we were to look at the images that you captured during this process, we might see some of you by a poolside or an ocean front on a hammock with a daiquiri or a margarita in hand. Others might be atop a mountain overlooking a lush tropical forest after an enjoyable hike. Some of you might be admiring the intricate architecture of a local cultural heritage site. If descriptors were attached to the images that you took to encapsulate the sentiments that you were feeling, we may see words and phrases such as joy, elation, relaxation, me time, family time, escape, getaway. For you see, within modern society, we work long hours. And the result of this amount that we dedicate to work, we look to the touristic destinations and the touristic experiences as magical locales that will magically transform our work-induced stress into relaxation and rejuvenation. We look to these sites and we contemplate our encounter with them, and we say the only way we can actually envision ourselves within that space is through hedonistic enjoyment. The long hours we work, the short nature of vacations, the fact that we actually have to pay a pretty penny for these experiences lead us to believe that our touristic experiences, our engagements in them, is a privilege that we deserve and a right that we have earned. Now, what if I was to say to you that we should not look to them as a privilege that we deserve or a right that we have earned? They are neither a privilege that we deserve nor a right that we have earned. What a bummer, you might say. Now, if you follow the arguments I'm about to make, I'll at the very least, be able to convince you that I am not the Grinch that stole your vacation. For you see, when we adopt a philosophy where we look for touristic experiences as a privilege that we deserve and a right that we have earned, we adopt a very self-centric approach to this. We look to these touristic destinations and we say, all I want from them is ways in which they can help me engage in hedonistic enjoyment such that I can obtain the rest and relaxation I am looking for. From a philosophy of this nature, we tend to build a bubble, a fantasy of sorts. And within this fantasy, we block out the poverty that we see at these destinations. We block out the environmental degradation that we see at these destinations. We even block out the utter sadness in the eyes of the people that are serving us at the destinations we are visiting. And we convince ourselves that the plastered smiles they have on their faces are the true indication of their state of mind. We justify this by saying, well, poverty, what can I do about it? I'm on vacation. Appropriate action, ignore. Environmental degradation, it's inevitable. What can I do about it? Appropriate action, ignore. Now, some of you might have stopped listening at this point. Others might have closed their eyes and journeyed back to that happy vacation place we talked about earlier. But for those of you who are still listening, I am confident that I can convince you that if we were indeed to think of tourism and our touristic engagement in tourism as a privilege we do not deserve and a right we have yet to earn, that we're more likely to yield positive health benefits for us, but also positive benefits for the communities that we are visiting. For such a perspective, if we adopt such a perspective, we're more likely to not view these destinations as a dumping ground for our stress. We're less likely to view them as a dumping ground for our stress. We're less likely to ignore the realities of the people within those locales. We're on the other hand more likely to think of self-transformation, personal growth as a result of truly, genuinely engaging with the people at these locales. We're more likely to think of helping others in these destinations as we help ourselves. Now, this notion of helping, this notion of serving is not new to any of you. In fact, I would argue that most of you actually engage in some level of humanistic or philanthropic endeavor on a day-to-day basis within your home communities. But often what happens is as we contemplate the touristic realm, we tend to leave that altruistic sense of self at home on a staycation while we go on to our vacation. When in fact, the merging of these two selves puts us in a state of mind that allows us to better reap the health benefits that one would derive from such experiences and to better contribute positively to the communities that we are visiting. Now, you might say, is it actually possible for us to contemplate altruism and hedonism within the context of tourism? I would say yes. In fact, we have 3 examples that I'd like to share with you guys today. First, I'd like to go back to the classical era. As we think of this particular period, Roman scholars traveled, and their purpose of travel was, yes, a little bit of hedonism, but to a great extent, they were looking for edification. Edification being moral and intellectual improvement. And this wasn't just for the self. This was actually to enable them to share their acquired intellectual capabilities with society. So here's an example in which we actually see serving self and serving others taking place within a touristic encounter. Another example I'd like to share with you is that of pilgrimage tourism. Pilgrimage tourism is travel to a religious event or a religious site. The World Tourism Organization states that 160 million people engage in this particular activity. They go for moral purposes, of course. They look for a higher meaning in life, of course. My own work in India, actually, in the Kumbh Mela, indicates that they also are looking for the ability to serve others as well as to be served. Regardless of the social stratifications that define that society as well as ours, people were willing to serve others, no matter who they were, and be able to be served as well. Now, there is a level of hedonism happening here. Maybe it's religiously themed, but people have fun while they're at these particular destinations. But it's also yet another example. We see the combination of a level of hedonism with something, a higher purpose that people are looking for. Voluntourism. We have an expert here, Dr. Kathy Andrek, who works on this particular topic. The Tourism Research and Marketing Organization states that 1.6 million individuals engage in this particular activity. Voluntourism, as the term connotes, involves people traveling to help others. They're building clinics, they're building schools, they're building all sorts of different buildings that are required by the community that they're visiting. They're looking for a deeper meaning, yes. They engage in a little bit of hedonism, of course. They go on day trips and weekend trips of one form or another. But they like this opportunity to actually be able to engage, genuinely engage with locals. They like the ability to be able to hone a skill or enhance a skill that they have attained. So volunteerism and tourism are two quintessential examples. Volunteerism, and pilgrimage tourism, as well as the scholars area, are three examples that showcase the ways in which we can actually contemplate this notion of altruism and hedonism taking place within the context of tourism. Now, you would ask, this all makes sense. So why is it that we do not have many more individuals engaging in this form of travel? I would say it has to do with the fact that we have yet to fully comprehend the health benefits associated with this form of travel. Stephanie Brown, a psychologist at Stony Brook University, does a lot of work on this notion of helping behavior. Her research has actually indicated that individuals that engage in helping behavior are happier, they're healthier, they live longer lives, they have a higher purpose to life, and they're able to better buffer stress. She's done some research with an elderly group of participants, and she compared those who engaged in helping behavior with those who did not engage in helping behavior. And by far, those who actually engaged in helping behavior lived longer lives. Micah Pullen at the University of Buffalo has done similar research and agrees regarding the health benefits, but says those who are most likely to reap the benefits of the health benefits articulated by Stephanie Brown are individuals that view others in a positive light. In a positive light. So if we go back to our discussion earlier of the fact that we typically tend to view our engagement in touristic activities and our view of tourism destinations from a perspective where we view our engagement as a privilege that we deserve and a right that we have earned, which is very self-centered, right? And often renders the other invisible. If we do not see the other, we do not value the other. If we do not value the other, we cannot help the other. If we cannot help the other, we are unable to reap the health benefits articulated by Stephanie Brown, and Michael Pullen. So I hope at this point you have actually gained an appreciation for the importance for us as a society to actually view our touristic engagements from a philosophy where we view our role as a privilege we do not deserve and a right we have yet to earn. For such a perspective allows us to act from a place of humility. It allows us to actually genuinely consider our engagement, our encounter with the people at the destinations that we actually visited. It enables us to not just reap the health benefits that we tend to think of by engaging in tourism, but at the same token, helping the destinations that we're visiting. In my mind, it is the very prerequisite required for us to even begin contemplating sustainable tourism, but also contemplating the sustainability of our planet. I'd like to end my talk today by sharing with you a very famous quote by JFK. Ask not what your nation can do for you, but what you can do for your nation. I'd like to adapt that to the context of tourism. And what I would say would be the following. Ask not what the tourism destinations can do for you, but what you can do for yourself and the tourism destinations. Thank you.